Something extraordinary happened on yesterday's CNN. Border czar Tom Homan was getting grilled by Jake Tapper. And of course, every single one of the questions that Jake Tapper asked was from an odious position of trying to trap Homan, gotcha stuff, all from the position of a left-wing Democrat because, well, he's Jake Tapper and he's a left-wing Democrat. But two extraordinary things happened. One that happens at the end of the interview when he's asked about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Homan just bares his teeth and brings the fire. The other thing that happened is what didn't happen. I'm going to let this play through because the rhythm of this interview is an important one, so I'm not going to interrupt. So I'm going to point out right now what you need to look for. Jake Tapper spent this entire interview. This is Jake Tapper, who we've spent a lot of time on this channel, pointing out his lack of journalistic ethics, his sanctimonious preening, his pretense that he's the only real journalist left in America. He's been hit hard this week, even by some of his own on his own side of the equation, calling out his blatant hypocrisy over enriching himself on this book about Biden's health. And he did something in this interview that I haven't seen him do in about 10 years. And it's what he didn't do. He did not engage in a political debate with Tom Homan. He did not follow up his questions in an argumentative way like he wanted to win a debate or win an argument or score some kind of point. Jake Tapper did an extraordinary thing in this interview that I haven't seen him do in so long. Jake Tapper asked questions, let his guest answer the question, and then whether he liked the answer or not, he then moved on to the next question. I think maybe Jake Tapper might be getting the message. Watch.
President's border policy advisor, Tom Homan, often called the Trump administration's border czar. Mr. Homan, thank you so much. Welcome to The Lead. First, what can you share about the Trump administration preparing to deploy more agents soon? Where would they come from? How many of them? Where will they go? What are their tasks, et cetera?
Well, we're going to ramp up the number of teams in the interior of the United States. So we're building that teams now. We're going to increase the teams going out. They're coming from various agencies, right? We got about 14,000 officers within ICE between ERO and HSI. We're going to pull more of them into this event. Plus, we got other federal agencies. President Trump has all the government on this, so we got ATF, DEA, U.S. Marshals. We got all the DOJ law enforcement entities, plus the State Department. So we're bringing law enforcement officials from all the federal agencies in.
Is the priority still violent criminals, or is it just anyone who is in this country and is undocumented, anybody in the country illegally?
The priority is always going to be public safety threats and national security threats, but the problem with that is in sanctuary cities, we can't get our hands on these people in the jail, where one agent can arrest one bad guy in the jail. They release them to the communities, and that's why we're flooding the sanctuary cities zones right now. We got to send agents to the neighborhood. We got to send a whole team for officer safety reasons. So we're going to increase agents in these cities. We're also going to increase worksite enforcement in these cities because we can't arrest them in the jail. Then we got to go to the community and the worksite to find these people. So that's what we're going to do.
White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller said Friday that the Trump administration was actively looking at suspending habeas corpus. That's the legal principle that allows people who believe they're being unlawfully detained or imprisoned to petition a court for their release to produce evidence. Today, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem told members of Congress that requirements had been met to suspend habeas corpus, although she noted she's not a constitutional lawyer. So is the administration talking about suspending habeas corpus only for undocumented immigrants, or are you talking about anyone who ICE and other agents might encounter in this deportation mission?
Well, I can tell you, General, look, this administration look at all the tools in the tool chest that we can use legally to remove the most dangerous and rather public safety threats and national security threats from this country, which is why we use the Alien Enemies Act. We use every tool available to us lawfully. I'm not involved with the whole habeas discussion. It's kind of out of my lane. I've been concentrating on the border and interior enforcement, so I'll leave that to your attorneys and DOJ to work that out. But it's really out of my lane. I have not been involved in those discussions at all.
Last week, CNN reported that the Trump administration was communicating with the country of Libya about having that country take undocumented immigrants from the U.S. And Reuters reported on a potential military flight to Libya being prepared. A federal judge said that Libya deportation flights would violate a prior court order. But are you aware of any such plans to deport individuals to Libya? And again, would that involve only violent undocumented criminals or any undocumented immigrants?
I'm not aware of any Libya plan, but I will say we're talking to numerous countries about them taking illegal aliens that their home countries won't accept them. So if their home countries won't accept them, they're a public safety threat and national security threats. We're looking for third safe countries to repatriate them to. So those discussions are ongoing.
Which, if any, other countries are you talking to about regarding shipping undocumented immigrants who are national security threats to?
Until we have a signed agreement, I won't disclose that. I mean, I'm not going to give them credit for something they're not doing yet. So we'll see what countries we get a signed agreement on, then we'll go from there.
Anecdotally, several members of my staff know people who are legal residents in the United States, some of them U.S. citizens from immigrant families who describe themselves as being terribly afraid of doing anything to draw any attention to themselves or their families because of concerns they will be picked up and mistakenly deported. What do you say to people who say that this immigration crackdown is also creating, in addition to doing what you want it to do, it's also creating an atmosphere of fear among people who are in the United States legally?
Well, look, we're sending messages. It's not okay to enter this country legally. It is a crime. It's not okay to be in this country legally. It's not okay to hire an illegal alien because you're simply undercutting your competition who hires U.S. citizens. So it's not okay to be in this country legally. But President Trump's been, from the beginning, concentrating on public safety threats and national security threats. We don't deport U.S. citizens. If you're a resident alien, you're here on a green card, you have certain rules when you get the resident alien card. You got to obey those rules. You can't violate the law because even resident aliens can be deported if they commit certain felonies or many misdemeanors. There's laws on the books, which every resident alien who gets a green card knows what those rules are. So it's a great honor to be in this country, whether it's on a visa or whether you have a green card. Simply follow the rules. Don't break the law and you'll be just fine.
All right. In a moment, he's going to venture into the AOC portion that you really got to see. It's fantastic. But do you see what I see? Have you noticed what's going on here? Yes, every one of Jake Tapper's questions is built upon and framed within a false premise or a straw man, or certainly from a left-wing liberal Trump-hating perspective. We expect that. But he doesn't interrupt. He's not combative. He doesn't attempt to argue a point with Tom Homan. He doesn't try to win a debate with him. He doesn't try to one-up him. He's asking a question. He's getting the answer so that his audience can be informed. And then he moves on to the next question. I mean, it's almost like Jake Tapper has decided that as he hosts a cable news show, he's going to engage in an interview instead of try to, own the MAGAs or whatever it is he's been doing for the last 10 years. Again, maybe this is a one-off. Maybe he was having a bad day. Maybe he's not getting a lot of sleep because of his book tour or whatever. But I wonder if he's starting to become a little chagrined. I'm wondering if some of the attacks on whatever is left of his integrity are actually starting to leave a mark. And he says, you know what? Maybe I can try this another way. Maybe I can actually go to the fundamentals and not try to be some champion of the woke left and the anti-Trump crowd, but instead actually, ask questions and get answers. I don't hold out hope, but this is an extraordinary change that I'm seeing from Jake Tapper, and we should point it out. All right, Tom Homan, take it away.
Last Friday, there was obviously something of a to-do outside the ICE detention facility in New Jersey. Newark's mayor joined several members of Congress who came. They said they wanted to inspect the ICE facility as part of their congressional oversight duties. I'm sure you've seen the images. There was a lot of pushing and shoving. The mayor was arrested, briefly detained. Over the weekend, a Department of Homeland Security spokesperson told CNN that one member of Congress body slammed an agent and threatened legal action against her. I spoke with that member of Congress, New Jersey Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, the woman in the red coat we're showing right now on TV right now. She denies body slamming anyone. I want to play something that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York posted on her Instagram account and get your reaction.
If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, on Representative, or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
What's your response, Mr. Homan?
First of all, you can't intimidate me. Come on, give me a break. You know, I was enforcing it. I was wearing a green uniform, Border Patrol agent, for 5 years before she was even born. I had more than 3 decades enforcing immigration law before she became a member of Congress. I worked for 6 presidents. I've seen policies. I've seen hundreds of policies. Some worked, some didn't. But you can't deny the success of the Trump administration when it comes to border security. Again, the most secure border in the history of this nation. And I said from day one, and she knows this, you can not support ICE. Shame on you. You can support sanctuary cities. Shame on you. But you can't cross the line. You can't knowingly impede ICE law enforcement officers. That is a felony. You can't harbor and conceal, knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from ICE. That is a felony. And you certainly can't commit criminal trespass. You know, and as far as New York, her district, this administration has done more to protect her district than she has. The number of criminal aliens we took off the streets of New York made her community much safer. She ought to be thanking the members of this administration, the men and women of ICE who protect this country and make her community safer. So, you know, it's politics over public safety. It's just ridiculous. She ought to love her community more than she hates Trump, because we're doing a lot to protect her community.
Border Czar Tom Homan, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you stopping by.
Wow. First of all, I love that. You know, I was arresting people at the border before she was born, which is literally true. She ought to love her community more than she hates Trump. That's fantastic. But I still can't get over the change in tone and approach and demeanor of Jake Tapper. Did you notice it? Am I the only one? Something happened there. I got to get to the bottom of it. Oh, hold on. Well, our producer, Kevin McMahon, draws my attention to what might be the solution. Our friend Molly Hemingway, editor-in-chief over at the mighty Federalist, has uncovered an interesting bit of information. Apparently, Jake Tapper has hired a crisis PR group that repped Elizabeth Holmes, who I believe is in prison right now for fraud, Jeffrey Toobin, who, well, we know where he is, and Anthony Weiner. Apparently, the PR group has been hired to teach him how to be nicer to critics. Oh, this is reporting from the Free Beacon. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Molly. I love Molly. She's a good friend. There you go. Oh, well, now it makes sense. Jake Tapper is suddenly deciding that when he conducts an interview, he should actually not be a complete and total asshole and ask questions so that his viewers can be informed and actually enlightened on a topic to try to get information from the member of the Trump administration, rather than actually engaged in a WWE off the top rope kind of fight with them. Wow, it's amazing that he needed to hire a crisis PR firm to learn how to conduct a civilized interview. But there you go. We noticed. You're getting your money's worth there, Jake. Good for you. You duplicitous, sanctimonious jerk.